Hello, I'm Landry. Today I figured I'd revisit Fantastic Contraption. It's this old, it was originally a Flash game that I played, I don't know, 15 years ago. That I have on Steam now. You have these wheels that are powered, both clockwise and counterclockwise, an unpowered wheel, and then rods. Water can go through things that you place. Wood can't go through anything. And that's it. You just build a contraption. So, yeah, let's go. This first level beats itself. Starts you off easy. Just gonna do really quick, easy solutions for the first several to get some more interesting puzzles. And then, we'll see. Actually, this one we can do something fun already. So, I guess I'll maybe do a couple of solutions just to kind of explain a few different methods of like what I'm going to be messing with here. So, this, you see the wheels have connection points on the outsides. You can use those to make them do more interesting things. So something like clearing a gap here, you know, if it weren't for those connections with just the two wheels, you get stuck pretty easy. But it's pretty easy to beat it with either connecting the wheels or even just pull yourself up. So, ooh, although not if you're that short. Anyway, let's do something more interesting though. Very basic catapult. And I'm hoping in this little video to get far enough along that I can start talking about some more interesting sort of strategy, or, you know, breaking some mechanics in an interesting way. But let's just play and see how things go. So there we go. Simple little catapult. Junkyard. To another relatively easy one for this, I think. So a fun thing about connecting the outside of wheels that I used to play with a lot is being able to sort of put wheels as a placeholder and then remove them. And for a few different types of contraptions like this one, it allows you to just get nice equal leg lengths for a really simple walker. We'll see if this actually wins. It's struggling. Let's make a few little adjustments to make it better. I'm thinking probably wider. More front heavy. And this is all using just the one yellow wheel. You can see it struggles quite a bit because the wheels only have so much power. And so even just lifting this machine at this angle, it looks like the one wheel isn't enough. What we can do is add an additional wheel to just add more power to the machine, and I think this should be able to make it. Although I didn't expect to spend this long on these early levels, so ooh, I hope so. This game's harder than I remembered. I think partially back in the day. Okay, yeah, let's just do a whole new solution. This one isn't working for us. Back in high school when I played this game more, I played it often enough that I think I had a really good sense of the balance and the limitations of power and stuff more than I have now, since I've not played in a while. So, there we go. Let's not overcomplicate it. Okay, this one might be another fun one to do in a few different ways. So, my first thought is, let's do a sort of simple powered catapult. So this is again making use of connecting wheels to each other through these outside edges in order to have them provide more power. So that the one that I'm actually attaching the catapult to here has enough power behind it to actually launch the goal object. Let's adjust these positions some so that it's not going to collide like that right away. And then a tiny bit of tweaking to hopefully get its alignment to be better. There we go. So, you know, that's fun. But let's try a driving solution. So the idea of this level, I think, is that, you know, ideally you push these into the hole and drive on. So let's see how hard that actually is to accomplish. And I'm thinking probably just doing a big line of powered wheels again. It's gonna be what I try first. Yeah, alright. So, we're getting to a point where we need to at least think a little bit to solve some of these, so that's fun. This one, it's very easy to beat without actually using this ball that you start out on. It's more of an obstacle. But let's see if I can make a little balancy solution that actually makes use of it. This might be more tweaking than it's worth. Okay, well, there's the concept anyway. Here's a fun little... Oop. It can be a little finicky even when it says it's in lines if you're too close to the edge. You can start doing some more interesting solutions. I think most people who actually play this game will have seen this before in other player designs, which after you beat a level you can view other players' designs for it, which can be kind of fun. There are people who do crazy things in this game, which I used to be really interested in seeing if I could sort of come up with the most interesting possible solutions to everything, overcomplicate it more. But I think for today we'll just kind of go fast and easy, see where we end up in one video. Nice. This one gonna try something silly just to show a concept. So, a weird thing about this game is you connect these to each other at these joints, but they're not actually all connected at the same point. They're actually all connected, so I'm just clicking a bunch now to make a bunch of these little lines in the same place. Make a few of them visible so you can see. But a weird thing about it is they're actually connected just to the previous one you've placed. So if you have a chain or something like this, it actually stretches. The joints have a little bit of give. And you can see the physics is weird. So this might freak out enough to just bounce up, just like this. Which is, of course, just sort of taking advantage of a weird physics system. It doesn't look like it's going to quite do it. But anyway, that's something we can play with later. And I think a fun way of doing that for this one is if I were to create, let's say, a little triangle like this, that joint's going to have a little bit of give. So if I drop a lot of weight on it, theoretically it might turn inside out. Now in this case I don't think it will, because this isn't enough weight for one, but also well, in this case also it's sliding too much. But if I were to add more of these random lines and then connect it, now that joint has more give and it's going to be more flexible. Let's actually scoot this to not be in the crack so that it wants to turn out more. See if we can get it to flip. It's almost too happy laying flat. There we go. So you see we can kind of get it to pop up. So if I were to then put this on the end of that triangle when it pops up. Too happy laying flat again. Yeah, there we go. So we can kind of use these weird things in the game to create solutions that aren't immediately obvious. And I think that's where some of these solutions can start getting fun. Okay, so this one I think is another one I'll do a couple of times, because like, you know, this kind of solution is pretty easy. Not very satisfying, but I think it's sort of worth showing, because I think a lot of the times it's so easy to overthink, and part of the fun of this game, especially for me these days, is just like thinking outside of the box, kind of making the puzzle more interesting for yourself. But I do appreciate the easiness, which, I mean, I think a lot of people who play this game don't necessarily. You know, like, there are a lot of much harder levels later on, and harder user-made levels and stuff that people enjoy. But something about just having an easy problem and not a lot of stress and just exploring, having fun with it, really appeals to me. So for this one, I'm thinking, let's make a little hook that just reaches around the corner, right? Something like that, maybe. That was dramatic. But anyway, I think it shows off the point. You can just sort of have fun with it. This game does, down in the bottom corner here, show you how quickly you beat a level in ticks. So you can kind of create little challenges for yourself to beat it more quickly, or to limit what pieces you use and stuff. This one's interesting. It's actually, this is enough weight that it's hard to fling. So like catapult solutions are more difficult, which I don't think it's interesting enough to build a big catapult for it to be worth it for this right now. When really all I need to do is make the hump less of an obstacle. Let's play around now with how these wheels work. So generally, the most obvious way to think of these wheels is it spins around that pivot. So if I want to make a catapult, I would just, you know, put something on the outside edge, and, you know, that might be enough to beat this level already. Yeah. But it's not very interesting, so let's think a little bit outside the box with these. So this is going to spin around the pivot, but let's say if we want a catapult that does what that last one just did and flings this way, we can actually use the pivot to do that, right? Let's make it collide sooner with itself so that we have more move there. And there we go. Using the pivot and the wheel spinning, we're actually essentially holding the wheel in place and using that same rotation to catapult it. It's a little bit more fun. Stairs with little oranges falling on your head. Tell you what, let's see if we can do that walker thing I tried on the junkyard level again here. I'll make a little dog. Let's make these legs not reach all the way across too, just for fun. Let's give it a belly. Let's do up. Okay. It's an interesting, well, to me, an interesting decision with these legs. So these are all connected because the center wheel can't spin in place, so all three of these wheels now are still linked to each other through this. I could have, if I wanted, done these off of the same ones as these ones are off and had them step in sync. But I think the offset is more interesting, so let's see how this works. Oof. Balls are giving it a hard time. Okay. Let's not wait for that. Let's maybe try something similar, but a little bit oh, sorry, I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. Doesn't work, apparently. Let's do lower center of mass, bigger steps. I think I don't want this one. I want the steps to be mostly forward facing, like that. We can still do 2 steps on each joint. And let's keep them alternating. I think this will look cool. So, by the way, if I were to play this right now, these wheels don't do anything because there's no axle for them to rotate against. So if I connect these, now those ones are actually receiving power. Oops. Let's replace those. course my goal object isn't attached yet, and this is too flexible, so let's add something for rigidity to it. This little caterpillar. That's maybe too flexible. Oh no, it got itself caught. Alright, let's try less rigid. This can hardly even move in place. What have I done wrong? Okay, I want to see what it does on the stairs, though. Okay. Let's change tactics. I'm more interested in sort of exploring some different ideas with this than, you know, tweaking forever and trying to make my first solution work. There we go. Just not overcomplicate things. It's kind of satisfying. I like how it actually falls between the falling balls, just by chance. This one, I think, is another I'll go ahead and beat twice. The puzzle of it is you need to make something that moves more quickly than your wheels can, because this ball falls and blocks the goal. So you can't just drive into it very easily. So one solution that I'll try here is making a little sandwich. And so the speed of all of these wheels will sort of add on to each other, and whatever's on the top of the stack should move quicker now than it would be able to if it weren't for, you know, being on a moving platform essentially. So let's go ahead and just see how that runs. And that's fast enough, kind of fun. But this is a good level, I think, to show off another little physics-breaking concept. So, if these two wheels, you can imagine if this one were spinning this way and the one on the bottom were spinning the other way, it would kind of move that out. So we just need to think of a way to make these move faster than the powered wheels are able to move. And we can do that by dropping this pile of sticks on the wheels and kind of squirt it out like that. This might take me a little bit of tweaking to get to do exactly what I want, but you can see the concept anyway. Hopefully I can get it to just win here soon so we don't spend too long on it, but it's just a different way of using these few building blocks to create a more interesting solution to the problem. Oof. Although wow, my tweaking isn't quite getting me there, so try a few more little things, and then if it doesn't work, we'll just move on. Is that better or worse? Yay! Four balls. This one might be another fun one to do a couple of times, actually. We're getting more difficult now. So these ones that aren't in the building area, you can't move around. You have to actually gather them. And I have to get all four into the goal at the same time in order to win. So one solution, probably the easiest solution I can think of for this one, is let's make use of the slight stretch that these joints have to just sort of squeeze them through between these. So you can imagine if the balls can manage to squeeze through here, if I've done this all right, then we should be able to spit them all out up higher here now. Of course, I need to put down supports for this whole contraption so that it doesn't just fall down. Sure. And then have them roll down the ramp. Okay. Let's try and make this a little bit more sturdy so it doesn't break itself like that. This is a little too tight. Let's loosen it up a bit. Something like that, maybe. There we go. That's pretty satisfying. But yeah, let's do another way. Let's have fun with this. So, okay, how about this? What if we... This is something I've never tried for this level before, actually, but I think it'll work fine. I want to gather all of them at once and dump them all in at the same time. So to do that, I want to make a little basket that they can all fall into. And only after it's collected all of them, then I want to pull it over and dump it into here. So I'll make a little thing here to give extra power to the top wheel that we're going to connect everything to. Let's make a little ramp for the basket to slide up. That's probably fine. Yeah. And then let's make the basket. This ramp doesn't leave a lot of room for a big basket. I want to make sure I have enough room to hold all four of these balls, so I guess let's just try something and see if it works before we rethink everything too much. Oof, yeah, no way. So let's slide these over so that we can make the ramp. Ooh, gliding up there. Make the ramp take up less of our basket space. That looks to me like they should fit. Sweet, okay. So now, let's create a little rope that will wind up around the ball and tug on them. Add a few extra links so that there's delay while they all roll in. And we need a lot longer rope than that. Okay. Beautiful. No! Oh, well, okay. That shows us another thing we need to worry about later, so that was worth seeing. Let's do deeper but less steep. There we go. And no! It almost got itself caught there while it was turning up. That would be great for them to just roll out. So let's just maybe slope this some more and see if we can get them to. Yeah? Well, slip this one more too. This is more tweaking than I'd hoped to do for any of these, but I just want this solution to work. I've never seen this done before for this level, so I mean, I'm sure I'm not the first to come up with it, but oh, come on, let go, let go. It might wiggle itself free. Yeah, it's taking too long. We need it to be a more satisfying solution than that, so. What if actually this were just a little bit taller so that it snags sooner on the width of the chain once it's all coiled? Yeah, only we need all the balls. There we go. Alright, let's maybe call this one the last level for today, because this is getting pretty long. I actually don't know how long I've been recording, but oh well. So here, it's a little bit more of a reach and more distance to travel with it, but I think we can do just a similar claw idea to what we did for the that early level. Probably doesn't need a whole lot of power. So the claw arm, we'll try something like that, and now let's just connect all of these wheels and power them. See what that does. Okay, that was close. I'm thinking it needs to not bend the whole contraption as much, and we want more weight up here, so let's achieve that by also adding more power. Something like this. That's close. So the arm is bending too much. It's actually sort of hard to see that now down there, but if we just make this thicker, whoop, it should stay bent, maybe? Nope, not yet. Okay, that's staying bent now. Hey! Okay, that's a fun one to end on for today. I might do a second one of these if I get around to it, but cool. Alright. Well, so that was this whole first page. We just did Down Under. Page 1 of 3. Thanks for watching. This is Fantastic Contraption. Yeah, fun little physics puzzle game. Bye.